Good morning to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here Monday now, the 10th day of June, 2024. I'm in Parker, Colorado right now. I'll explain what I'm doing here and what my plans are for the day later on in the update. But first, we do have some hopefully beneficial rain, as long as it's not too heavy and too long term, coming for Florida, where you definitely need it, especially down on the peninsula. Maybe a little bit of a look ahead as to what this hurricane season will bring us, the first taste, so to speak, with this gyre, this area of disturbed weather developing in the Western Caribbean. That's going to kind of get stretched out and bring a lot of rainfall for Florida, and hopefully no wind and coastal surge issues or anything like that, i.e. nothing organizing and developing into a depression or a storm or anything like that. It's possible. You don't know for sure that it's not going to happen, but it doesn't look that way in the guidance so far. So we'll talk about that. And then some new model guidance that has come out, still painting the picture. I know you're probably tired of hearing it, but we just keep getting these reinforcing messages from the climate models, the seasonal models for the months ahead, that we are in for a very busy hurricane season. And I want people to make sure that they understand that we got to do something, okay? We have to take action when the signals are this clear. It's still possible that nothing at all will happen. Of course, it's all probability. You buy a lottery ticket, you're probably not going to win, but you might. Not quite the same in terms of what we're talking about here. The odds of winning the Powerball are just astronomical. The odds of having a very busy hurricane season are way better. Trust me, all right? And hey, if we're wrong, that's good for you guys. Bad for us in the science world. Okay, first leading off here, tweet here from Fox Weather, highlighting the big story this week. We're going to get a lot of rainfall, it does look like, down here along the Florida peninsula. The Panhandle area and the Central Gulf Coast region probably going to miss out on this. We'll see. Again, it's not all etched in stone, as they say. But yes, a deluge of tropical moisture is forecast to bombard Florida this week. So if you've got plans to travel down there, just keep that in mind. It could be rather wet and very wet over the next several days. And we'll take a look at how this evolves through the rest of the update here. So looking at the satellite animation this morning, figured I'd show you the full Atlantic basin, just kind of point out a few things that are important here. Make sure we have yellow ready. So this is all generally unfavorable through here because we have dry Saharan air. So it's basically capped out here. It's warm air in the mid-levels. There's some dust out there for sure. And this is a very typical thing to see in the early part of the hurricane season, so I am not surprised in the least. Now we've got our gyre starting to set up over here. Just more disturbed weather in the Western Caribbean and the vicinity of Central America. A focusing area for showers and thunderstorms. And you can see we are starting to get some of that now over here in the Western Caribbean. My friend Adam down there in the Cayman Islands telling me about some rather heavy rain in that area yesterday. I'm going to be visiting down there in July. I'll talk about that later on. We're going to deliver some equipment down there to be prepared for hurricane season. And up here in the subtropics in the far North Atlantic, strong westerly winds, minor disturbances going through, nothing developing anywhere over the next several days. And we can see that reflected here from the National Hurricane Center site for both the Atlantic and the Eastern Pacific. The next week should be nice and quiet. So we should get through mid-June without any named storms. And it's been a long time since we've gone this far into the hurricane season, believe it or not, without any named storms. Nothing in the East Pac and nothing in the Atlantic. What's going on? Are those forecasts going to bust? I doubt it. It's just a weird setup. But, we know what's probably coming later on. We just want to make sure we keep that as the main focus. It's coming, all right? So here's that energy starting to bundle together a little bit more. Bundle might be too strong a word, but it certainly is starting to show up there, the vorticity signature, a little bit more pronounced, with energy now gathering in the Western Caribbean, kind of straddling Central America there. Nothing out here in the deep tropics, as you would expect, with that dry Saharan air layer sitting out there. Plus, it's June, and climatologically speaking, we're not supposed to have anything out there. But later on, let me pop back on for a second, as we get through the month of June, there are indications that the Madden-Julian oscillation, this favorable area of upper-level winds, more moisture, lighter shear, all that kind of stuff, could be moving into the Atlantic and basically setting up shop with a very favorable look to it overall. We'll look at that more. I mean, it's still too far out in time to really, I don't want to say worry about, but I'm seeing it in some of the chatter on social media, some of the people that I follow and trust, and we'll address that maybe on next week's Monday update as we look ahead to the rest of June, because we'll be at, certainly mid-June by that point, and we're going to want to look and see what conditions are heading towards as we end the month of June and into July. But I think that a more favorable pattern is likely as we get towards the last third of June. Just kind of putting you on notice there, seeing that in some of the larger scale guidance, so to speak, the bigger puzzle pieces. All right, so the GFS from the 6Z run this morning, and again, we're looking for any shenanigans down in this area to speak of as our Central American gyre, just our overall favorable look to the pattern down there for more organized convection. Not really favorable for anything to develop tropically, and I'll show you why. Let's move this out over the next several days. There's 5 days right there. And first of all, you can just clearly notice all this energy just kind of stretched out across this area. That would be the signature, at least in the lower levels, of that vorticity, the convergence, the storminess, the stormy pattern overall. Anytime you see that, that's a good indication that you've got some kind of inclement weather going on beneath all of that. This is at 5,000 feet in the atmosphere, and it just tells me, yep, there's some energy down there. But what you also notice is it is not bundling up. You get a few pieces of concentrated vorticity maximums, if you will. Right here's, a pair. There's one down here. And then there's that gyre, clearly outlined right there. You can just follow the wind barbs. That's 132 hours out, so just about 6 days there. We'll make it official. There's day 6, and then finally day 7 right there. Nothing really organizing, but a huge plume of deep tropical moisture, and it does eventually try to focus towards maybe the central and western Gulf. We'll see. This is a week out. But what I want to show you, let's just back it up to day 5, and I can show you something really interesting here. Why isn't this necessarily going to be tropical? Why is there not more organization? Well, we got to look at the upper level winds. We know we've got very warm sea surface temperatures and the convergence at the lower levels. But at the upper levels, it's just not very favorable. We've got this trough carved out right here, strong 200 millibar winds cutting across, so that's going to shear anything that's down there. You'd need something to try to organize here, where the upper level winds are virtually non-existent. Very light shear. The anticyclone is right there. This is in that trough area. So too much shear going on with that upper trough. And even though there could be a surface low, it's just not ideally placed. But there is going to be a lot of moisture, and I'll show you that on the Euro version of this here. This is also from the 0Z. I guess that's the 6Z. This is the 0Z here, the ECMWF model. So let's take this out to the next week as well, and you'll see how really kind of the same deal with deep tropical moisture feeding into Florida, and so it should be pretty wet down there. Probably fairly welcome by most people because it has been darn dry. But yeah, out to a week's time, and again, not much going on. You do definitely see the energy. That's there. There you go, right there. It's nice and curled up, easy to find if you just know what you're looking for. And this is what I'm looking for. But the good news is it's not concentrating. It's all spread out. Whoops, wrong color. Let's use blue. It's all spread out over a large area down here, and it's not focusing. Now, one thing I do want to show you, this is day 5. Let's scroll down here and look at the precipitation. Let's look at the humidity is a good one. Look at all this green down here, and I'll highlight it with black. That's a lot of moisture, all right? And you can see where it's aimed, right into Florida. Let's back this up. We'll scroll our little window down a little bit here, and let's back this up to the beginning. All right, so you see how it evolves. Watch that green, and it really starts to just focus in on Florida right there. This is all dry air over here. And boy, you can really see, speaking of dry air, there it is coming in from the Saharan air layer, the SAL, working its way across the deep tropics and into the Caribbean. But the Western Caribbean stays pretty active with that funneling of deep tropical moisture. Just look at that. Clearly, you can see this all the way up from the Caribbean, streaming into Florida over the next several days. So yes, a lot of rainfall coming for a good deal of the southern part of the peninsula. So just keep that in mind. All right. So a few odds and ends here. This was interesting from our friend Dr. Klotzbach. While the North Atlantic Ocean heat content is well above normal, one place where it is most anomalous, in other words, it really stands out, is the Caribbean. Today's Caribbean ocean heat content on average isn't reached until September 2nd and was never reached in 2018. High ocean heat content favors hurricane activity. So this is just ridiculous how high the ocean heat content is in the Caribbean. And then we can look at the plot of it here from Brian McNulty, and you can clearly see we are well above where we should be. And I keep bringing this up because we have to keep this in mind. This is the science. This is the raw data that tells us what we need to be looking for. Now, it could all lead to nothing. I want to emphasize that. We don't know for sure. Of course we don't. If we did, we, me, them, they, everybody that's in this business would get people ready for whatever's coming, because if we knew the outcome, we can make sure that we at least move people out of the way and do what we can to mitigate damage on a huge scale. But we don't know. We just know that the background state is as favorable as we've ever seen it ahead of time. What that leads to, that's what we have to figure out and just kind of watch together over the next several months. But boy, we've got to make sure we are ready to act, because these types of upper ocean heat content conditions do historically lead to very intense hurricanes, huge rainfall makers, and rainfall is disastrous. It really is. You got to remember that. Okay? So that's why I keep showing you this. It's not, people say fear mongering. Maybe we do need to worry about this, because this is not normal. I don't know if I'm mongering. Okay, take action based on that. Trying to wake people up, especially those that really do, for whatever reason, doubt the science. It's right in front of us all the time. We can just go out and look. It's there. And so there you go. Just wanted to point that out. We'll see how it all plays out, right? So over at Storm 2K, one of our partners, of course, and a great message board, old school website with a lot of great members from all over the world, fantastic resource to just pop in and see what's going on. And our friend down there in Puerto Rico, Luis, also known as Cyclone I, posted this from Andy Hazelton, and I'll take a look at the tweet version here. And what does it show? Well, it's the updated C3S. It is the ECMWF Met Office. Like, it's a whole bunch of, like, a conglomeration of models is a good way to look at it. And instead of just showing you each of the pictures, I'm just going to read it because it's the same. It's what we're thinking was going to happen in terms of what the models are showing. So the climate model mean continues to paint a favorable picture for Atlantic tropical cyclone activity this summer, with a favorable Atlantic positive AMO, that's that very warm sea surface temperature profile, and a La Nina developing. This leads to rising motion, that's what I was talking about, focused in the Atlantic, as evidenced by the lower mean sea level pressure. And you can see that. I'll show you some of these graphics anyway. There's the warm sea surface temperatures. This is the mean sea level pressure anomaly. And look how low they are all through here, with the lowest right there, at least in the Atlantic basin. That's down at the surface, the mean sea level pressure. When you see that, that just tells you, oh, there's probably going to be a lot of hurricanes. And then, of course, the precipitation pattern favors activity in the western part of the basin above normal. And I don't know what else to tell you. We just need to, I guess at this point, sort of accept it, take that action, like I said, whatever it means for you, and be ready, because once it sets up, I think we're just going to have probably every couple of weeks something's going to churn out, very similar to 05 and 2020. It hasn't happened yet, but the longer it delays, I think the more that powder keg will explode especially considering we're seeing anomalies higher than we have ever seen them before. This is very serious. I take it very seriously, and I want you to as well. All right, so storm season is still upon us, of course. This is the day one outlook. I, like I said, am over here in Colorado today, Parker area, somewhere in there. I'm going to be making my way up into this yellow area as soon as I get this update done and online. And I will be looking for, you guessed it, the large hail. Not a high percentage chance of it, but it'll be there. The magic of the high plains is absolutely amazing. Let me just give you a minute of commentary about that. I came out here last year with our partner CJ, and we saw an incredible storm that so much hail was in it that the thing was just glowing. This aquamarine blue color. It's actually in our calendar this year if you've got it for the month of June. Check that picture out. Unbelievable. And now that we're actually studying hail, and the vehicle that I've got is made for it, I actively try to get into these hail cores. And yesterday, on a marginal day, tons of hail, fairly small, wasn't that big gorilla hail stuff that's going to bust windshields, but it covers the roadways. It does do damage to roofs, especially those that are older, and it's just fascinating. And I got under a storm, I don't even know exactly where I was, just somewhere on I-25, well south of Colorado Springs and Pueblo area, and one of these things just blew up right over me. It was kind of cool outside, maybe 75 degrees. The dew points weren't very high, but it's that high plains magic that people talk about often. And the hail started right on top of me from that very small grapple-looking stuff. Greg Nordstrom refers to it as nerd hail. I am a nerd, so there's that. But also it looks like that candy, those nerds, right? And then it evolved right on me into little marbles and then maybe a few that look like grapes. So again, nothing major. Of course not. You don't typically get that. You can. I mean, you know, Colorado does get big hail. But a lot of times it's this sort of carpet bombing, to put it in terms that we can understand, of just tremendous amounts of hail. Sometimes it covers the ground. Remember Yuma a few weeks ago? I know I've gone over my minute of commentary, but it's just fascinating how all of this weather works out here. So I'll be looking for that today, way up in Wyoming and parts of South Dakota, maybe western Nebraska. We shall see. Tomorrow, hopefully I can kind of take a day off, so to speak, get caught up on some things. I do want to go to Devil's Tower, which is sitting right over here. Would love to see that. I'll be staying over in Deadwood tonight, and then tomorrow I've got to come back down here to the Denver area and get some work done with Matt, our partner in Parker. I should have just stayed at his house, but no, it's story for another day. It's good to have your own space, believe me, then I can do these videos and not disturb the rest of the family. But yeah, he and I got some work to do for hurricane season. While I'm out here, why not? He 3D prints a lot of our stuff. It's just amazing. So yeah, that's tomorrow. And then finally day 3, I'm out. I'm not going back up there for that. So he and I will continue to work. And then I fly home Thursday and we go from there, right? So let me just show you a little bit about what I encountered yesterday. Let's drop the audio out of there. This is just a little highlight reel. It's a little over a minute long. Look at that beautiful, just amazing sight of driving up I-25. Absolutely gorgeous. The high plains magic, whatever, the front range. I'm learning about all this stuff. That, my friends, that's a hail core right there. Very heavy rain and some hail in there. Again, it was not big hail. I don't want to make this more than it was, but it's fascinating. Look at that. Very heavy rain. There was flooding issues up here. Flash flooding over a huge area from where I was on 25 all the way up towards Denver. And look at all that hail. It's very small, marble size maybe, but lots of it. Just rain and hail. And it's really neat. There's the hood-mounted camera, the GoPro looking back at me. I don't know, there's just something fascinating about it, especially when it gets really large and it looks very odd. Some of it looks just alien-like with spikes on it. And then that heavy rain was just bananas traveling up 25. Check out a couple of lightning strikes I've got for you coming up here. There's a good one. Very heavy rainfall, kind of that bluish green color. That's the hail. Now here's a nice lightning strike coming up for you here. Yep, that's a good one. The GoPro mounted right on the hood there, so you don't have that windshield shot. And of course the ubiquitous, mandatory ubiquitous? No, that's not the word. It's mandatory. Obligatory, that's the word. Sorry. I get excited about this stuff. That was the slow-mo lightning. And then this is near Pueblo. I've been driving in a lot of storms and rain and hurricanes and whatever in my career. Hundreds of thousands of miles, literally. And last night was terrible. I would say it's in my top 5 worst driving conditions ever. Just blowing rain and hail everywhere, and just the spray from the traffic on 25. And 25 itself is not any kind of a picnic in terms of, come on, let's get this to collapse. Maybe, if it will cooperate. Thank you. 25 is no easy task anyway, because whatever. I'm not going to bang on Colorado, but please fix I-25. Anyway, it was just treacherous, but I made it to the hotel, and I'm good to go. All right, so let me drop out real quick and promote my map one more time. We do have a couple dozen left. If you want a paper tracking map, you can still get one. Go to the link in the description or go to HurricaneTrack.com/track map. Not too late to order. At least you can get it in time, the order in time for Father's Day. I'll send it out as soon as I can when I get home Thursday. Beautiful 18 by 24. And I do need to do a video about tracking on a paper map. Believe it or not, some people have no idea how to do that and what it even, like, what's the importance of it. It's a lost art. All right, so that's it. You're updated. I'm going to get ready to head up into the Dakotas or Wyoming or whatever. Looks like between the Bighorns and the Black Hills, that could be some interesting stuff. So I got to get on up there. You guys have a great rest of your Monday. I will have an update for you tomorrow. We're going to try to do one every day this week, even though I'm on the road. And the webcam's working. Remember last time I was doing this on this laptop, my webcam was being goofy. We're back, though. We're good to go, I hope. All right, that's it from me, from all of us at Hurricane Track. Thanks for watching. I'm Mark Sudduth. I'll see you again tomorrow.